So today I'm going to teach you how to ollie. First steps first is you're going to want to have some nice skate shoes and a skateboard. You're going to want to pop the tail really hard, and you're going to want to scoop it with your front foot to level it out. And let me get a quick example for you right here. So I'm going to jump over this. I'm going to show you how important. So there you can see how important speed is to a factor to doing an ollie. I wasn't going too slow, I wasn't going too fast. I cleared it just perfect. So that's one thing you're always going to have to take into account to whatever you're doing. If it's something bigger, you're going to need more speed. If it's smaller, you might need to adjust your speed to that depending on your landing and how much run up you have to it. But basically for an ollie, all you're doing is popping really hard, scooping, and then jumping, so one smooth motion. It's just gonna look like that. And I find it easier to have my back foot back on the board a little bit, my front foot back a little bit, so that way I got more room to scoop. If your front foot's up forward, you don't really have much room to scoop to pop, but if it's back more, you're gonna have a lot more room to pop. And like that right there, how I was talking about earlier, it's going to be easier if you have a bit more speed while you're doing it. If you're stationary, it's decent for like learning how to do an ollie. But if you really want to do an ollie and be good at it, you're going to have to know how to do it moving. Because I wouldn't have been able to do it over this stationary. If I wanted to, I could kind of line myself up while I was warming up. See how high I could get over it. That's always a good technique. But I think the best way to improve on your ollie is just having something to ollie over. And then it's really gonna push you and make sure you're not clipping on your ollie, so that you're always getting a good clean ollie every time. And if not, and you can tell you're messing up, you're gonna have to just keep on trying. So common mistakes doing this trick is just popping with your tail, and you're not leveling your front foot out at all. You're not doing that at all. All you're doing is just a little slappy like that. You can tell my front foot did nothing right there. Do it again. If you level your foot out, it's going to bring the whole back of the board up with you. So an ollie is the fundamental to all tricks. If you want to learn how to grind on something or ollie over something, kick flip, heel flip, tray flip over something, all tricks require the same trick to start with, which is an ollie, and you're just adding whatever flick it is to it. Because you can't just do a kick flip before you learn how to ollie. Everyone wants to, but it never works that way. It always works backwards. So biggest thing I can give to you if you're new to skateboarding is just learning how to ollie. If you want to watch me a few times, just see how my feet are on the board. Let me see the camera for a minute too. So if I show you my feet on the board right here, I like to have my back foot kind of close to the middle of it. My back foot's on the tail. My front foot's kind of in the middle. I think I said my back foot. But I'm lined up like this, and you want to stay parallel over it. My knees are centered. My shoulders and my hips are centered to each side of the board. And I'm just popping and sliding and jumping all at the same time. So it's going to look pretty close to something like this. So I hope you learned something from that, and any other tips I could give to you would be just keep practicing, don't quit, find something you can do it over. And a summary of that, everything I showed you, would just be keep practicing, never give up. Even there, I didn't land it, but it's hard depending on whatever speed you're doing. So try to get consistent at your speed. And if you can always do your Ollie fast, you'll never have problems doing it for the most part. Even though I find it easier if I'm moving a little bit to do it. It's a bit harder for me stationary, but it might be easier for you learning off. And then if you want to transition that into a moving speed, I think I'm at about close to 5.
5:30.
So for the last minute of this video, I'm going to be showing you any little tricks to get your Ollie higher. So as I mentioned before, if your foot's up far like this, it's going to be hard to getting the full pop to your Ollie because you don't have as much room to slide, right? So you're not sliding as much like that versus here. If your foot was up more and you went to slide, you're not getting as much room and your foot's probably going to land forward a bit more. So I think it's always best to have your foot somewhere behind bolts for sure. So if your feet are in front of bolts, then it's going to be hard to land back on bolts. If my feet are exactly, my front foot's right below the first bolts. If I try to Ollie, I can't even do it just because my foot's way too far forward. So definitely make sure your foot is close to like the middle of the board and your back foot's right on the tail, and you're gonna pop, slide your foot and jump all at the same time, so it should be one fluid motion.
640.